The Draconian Armada vanished on Earth. The galaxy mocked the warning until terror was revealed. The galaxy had long studied humanity and reached a simple conclusion. Earth was nothing. A small, water-covered rock with a thin atmosphere and strange, fragile life. Nothing more than a curiosity for biologists and historians. So when the message arrived, carried on an alien network that humans could barely understand, no one paid attention. The message was clear. Humans will be tested. Resistance is expected. Prepare for the Draconian Armada. No one believed it. Even Earth scientists were unsure. The term Draconian was legendary across the stars. Entire civilizations had fallen at their claws, fleets destroyed in minutes, colonies erased in hours. And now, somehow, they were coming to Earth. The first human to truly understand the danger was Dr. Lena Ortiz, a young astrophysicist working at the International Space Observation Station in the Andes. Lena had grown up staring at stars that no human had ever visited, dreaming of what might exist between them. She had read the reports, the legends, the old intercepted alien broadcasts. She knew the Draconians were real, and she knew the galaxy often underestimated humans, and that could be their advantage. She stared at the blinking red warning light on her console. The signal was faint but undeniable. Hundreds of ships, forming a massive fleet, approaching the solar system at sublight speed. The humans around her on Earth had no idea how close the threat really was. Lena called Dr. Chen, her colleague from the lunar base. "Are you seeing this? The fleet, sensors say it's massive." Lena nodded, her fingers dancing over the holographic controls. "I see it. It's heading straight for Earth, and the galaxy will still ignore it." "Why?" Chen asked, disbelief heavy in his voice. "Why would anyone ignore the Draconians?" "Because," Lena said quietly, "they think we're nothing." For weeks, Earth's leaders scrambled to understand the incoming armada. Unlike the rest of the galaxy, humans did not have massive interstellar fleets. Their ships were small, fast, and fragile, but humans had something other species did not: curiosity, unpredictability, and cooperation under pressure. The first contact attempts were peculiar. When Draconian signals were intercepted, they carried a strange arrogance. "Resistance is meaningless. Submit or be removed," the messages said. But the humans, instead of panicking, did something alien civilizations could never understand. They observed quietly. In orbit, satellites monitored the armada. Tiny drones mapped its movements, recorded energy readings, and analyzed patterns. Humans noticed something strange: ships were disappearing. It started with a single scout ship, then another. Entire squadrons blinked out of existence, leaving no debris, no wreckage, only a faint distortion in the surrounding space. Lena leaned closer to the screen, her eyes widening. "This doesn't make sense," she said. "They're not being destroyed, they're vanishing." Chen frowned. "Vanishing, like teleportation." "Not exactly," Lena said. "It's more like the planet itself is hiding them. The energy readings show they're trapped in some kind of field. I've never seen anything like it." The news spread slowly, carefully. Earth did not want to cause panic. Meanwhile, alien civilizations watched and mocked. "Humans imagined it," one ambassador said during a Galactic Council transmission. "The Draconians are far too powerful. Earth is safe because they are beneath notice." Humans did not respond. They did not need to. They had begun the work that only humans could do. The fleet, or what remained of it, hovered near Earth, invisible and disoriented. The Draconians had never faced a planet like this. Their AI-driven ships tried to analyze Earth's electromagnetic fields, gravity fluctuations, and atmospheric quirks. The algorithms failed. Every attempt to form a formation or plan an attack ended in confusion. On the ground, Lena and her team deciphered faint energy pulses, subtle vibrations in the ionosphere, and anomalies in the magnetic field. It was as if Earth itself were a puzzle, and the Draconians were not equipped to solve it. Look at this, Lena said, pointing at a holographic projection. Their ships are repeating the same patterns over and over. They don't know how to escape. It's like they're trapped. Chen shook his head. Are you saying we trapped them? Not us, Lena said, a smile forming. Earth did, and only humans could figure out why. We just have to be clever enough to understand the pattern and communicate. The galaxy, meanwhile, continued to mock. News networks from other systems laughed at Earth's panic warnings, calling it a human overreaction. Even minor Draconian fleets elsewhere ignored Earth, but those fleets began noticing small anomalies. Scouts sent to observe humans returned confused or silent. A signal from one ship arrived, then vanished. Entire reports from Draconian observers stopped suddenly. Lena worked day and night. Sleep became unnecessary when faced with something no one else could comprehend. She discovered that the Armada's ships were interacting with Earth's natural energy grid, its magnetic fields, its planetary rotation, even subtle electrical signals in the atmosphere. The ship's own AI interpreted these energies incorrectly, locking them in loops and preventing them from advancing or retreating. It was the first time in recorded history that an alien fleet of that size was powerless, not because of weapons, but because of human-scale intelligence and planetary uniqueness. The breakthrough came when Lena noticed a repeating pattern in the energy signals. She traced it like a code. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but it was there, a message embedded in the natural pulse of the planet. Not all humans could see it, but Lena could. It's deliberate, she whispered to herself. Someone or something is warning us. They don't want us to panic. They want us to think, to solve it. Chen looked over her shoulder. Warning us from who? I don't know yet, Lena admitted. But whoever it is, they want us alive, and maybe they want us smart. The first true HFY moment came quietly. While alien civilizations laughed at Earth, humans began working together in ways no one else could understand. Nations shared satellite networks, combined computing resources, and coordinated orbital drones. Every human mind added a piece to the puzzle. In one lab, a small child in India noticed something unusual in a school observatory telescope feed. In Brazil, engineers detected subtle magnetic fluctuations in a mining facility. Pieces of Earth's puzzle came together because humans were curious everywhere, all at once. By the time the galaxy realized something was wrong, the Armada was fully trapped, invisible, and silent in orbit around Earth. Its systems were functional but disoriented. The Draconians themselves did not understand what had happened. Their legends had never predicted a species that could confound an entire fleet without a single weapon fired. At the International Space Observation Station, Lena stared at the blank screens where ships should have appeared. She could feel the weight of the moment. The galaxy mocked humanity, but humanity had already won. Not through firepower, not through fleets, but through observation, logic, and patience. Chen broke the silence. Do you think they'll ever get out? Lena shook her head. I don't know, but that's not the point. The point is, we understand them, and one day they will understand us. Maybe then the galaxy will finally stop laughing. Outside, the Earth rotated silently, oceans sparkling in the sunlight. The invisible Armada floated in orbit, unaware that the small blue planet below had outsmarted the galaxy's greatest threat. And somewhere, deep in space, other civilizations took notice, not with fear but with curiosity. Humans had done something no one thought possible. Lena leaned back in her chair. She did not know what would come next, but she smiled. Humanity had survived its first true test, and the galaxy had no idea just how unpredictable humans could be. The galaxy had been wrong about humans. Again. No one could understand what Earth had done, but the signs were obvious to anyone paying attention, though very few were. Entire Draconian squadrons had disappeared in orbit. The alien fleets sent to observe humans had returned confused. The species that laughed at humanity now whispered among themselves. On Earth, the real work had begun. Humanity did not celebrate. They did not send messages bragging about their accidental victory. Instead, they studied. They observed. They solved puzzles. At the International Space Observation Station, Dr. Lena Ortiz paced across the lab. Her team of scientists and engineers was small, but each person was brilliant. They had begun tracing the subtle energy fluctuations that had trapped the Armada. Lena's fingers moved over the holographic interface, pulling up streams of data from satellites, drones, and ground-based sensors. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a three-dimensional projection of Earth's magnetic field. "The Armada isn't just trapped. They're reacting to the planet like it's a maze. Every time they try to leave, the field redirects them." Her colleague, Dr. Chen, frowned. "A maze? Earth is a planet, Lena. How can it be a maze?" Lena smiled faintly. "It's not a maze we built, it's natural." But here's the key. The Draconian's AI interprets the environment in patterns. It expects uniformity, predictable rules. Earth doesn't have uniformity. The magnetic fields, the atmosphere, the ionosphere, all of it confuses them, and that confusion keeps them trapped. Chen shook his head. "You're saying the planet itself is smarter than them." "In a way," Lena said, "or at least it interacts with them in ways they can't understand, and that gives us time." The humans decided to study the Armada up close without being noticed. They launched tiny observation drones, small enough to avoid the Draconian sensors, yet capable of collecting massive amounts of data. The drones hovered near the invisible ships, analyzing energy outputs, propulsion systems, and communication signals. Lena studied the patterns carefully. The Draconians' ships were highly efficient, almost flawless in design. But they had one flaw humans could exploit: rigid predictability. Their AI followed patterns and protocols that could not adapt to human-style creativity. "It's like they're following a recipe," Lena explained. "And we're adding ingredients they've never seen." Chen leaned over her shoulder. "So we can confuse them further." "Yes," Lena said. "Not with weapons, not with threats, but with puzzles, problems they can't solve. That's our advantage." The first test was subtle. Humans used solar-powered drones to emit faint energy pulses, synchronized with Earth's magnetic shifts. The Armada reacted immediately, spinning in tight patterns, unsure which way to move. Over the next few days, humans adjusted their signals, studying how the Draconians responded. Each adjustment taught the scientists something new. Each misstep revealed a new weakness. And the Armada, once thought unstoppable, floated helpless in orbit. Other alien civilizations began noticing strange anomalies around Earth. Scouts sent to observe were drawn into confusing energy fields. Some returned with garbled reports. Others simply vanished for hours, only to reappear miles from their intended location. The galaxy's laughter began to fade. Curiosity replaced mockery. In orbit above New York, Lena watched a simulation of the Armada's movements. Tiny dots representing ships spun in chaotic loops. She felt a thrill she could hardly contain. "They're learning or unlearning," she said to Chen. "Every time they try to escape, the planet forces them into patterns they don't understand. We can guide them, study them, maybe even communicate." Chen raised an eyebrow. "Communicate with Draconians?" "Yes," Lena said. "Not through words, not through threats, through logic, through puzzles, through something only humans could create. That's how we'll show them we're different." Weeks passed. Humanity's efforts intensified. Governments, scientists, engineers, and students contributed in ways that would have amazed the rest of the galaxy. Earth became a collective intelligence hub. In a laboratory in Tokyo, a teenage girl named Eiko noticed a repeating pulse pattern in the ionosphere. It resembled a language, though unlike any human or alien code ever seen. She alerted Lena's team, who verified it. "It's deliberate," Lena said, eyes wide. "Someone or something is signaling us. Maybe the Armada itself, maybe something older." The humans did not panic. They did not assume danger. They solved it step by step using reasoning and collaboration. Slowly, a picture emerged. The Draconians were not invincible. They were confused, cautious, and afraid, an emotion the galaxy had never associated with them. Meanwhile, alien observers grew nervous. Their scouts sent warnings to their home planets. Humans are unpredictable. They are learning fast. The mockery turned to whispered concern. One day, Lena's team discovered the most startling clue yet. Energy readings suggested that the Armada itself was sending subtle distress signals, but not of panic exactly. More like requests for help, signals that could be interpreted as questions only humans could answer. "Look at this," Lena said, showing a holographic waveform. "They are trying to solve something, but they can't, and Earth, our planet, is the only solution." Chen's jaw dropped. "You're saying they want us to help them?" Lena nodded. "In a way, they're trapped. They're intelligent, yes, but rigid. They can't adapt to Earth. And somehow, the planet is protecting itself, forcing them to rely on humans. Only we can communicate with them properly." The idea was staggering. Humanity, the species laughed at across the galaxy, had become a teacher, a guide, and a problem solver. Excitement spread across Earth. Scientists worked in synchronized shifts, connecting satellites, energy arrays, and research stations in a global network. Algorithms were designed not to fight, but to cooperate, to find patterns, test responses, and gradually create a way to talk to the Armada. Children in schools were recruited in playful experiments to detect patterns in energy pulses. Engineers in rural villages adjusted solar grids to subtly affect magnetic readings. Artists even participated, painting geometric designs that influenced energy harmonics. Every human contribution mattered. The world had never been so united. Then came the first direct contact. Lena's team used a combination of energy pulses and orbital drones to transmit a simple, non-threatening pattern toward the trapped Armada. The response was immediate. A small ship emitted a brief pulse that matched the human's pattern, almost like a handshake. The pulse repeated several times, slightly altered each time. Lena stared at the data, trying to comprehend. "They're responding," she whispered. "They understand us, but only partially. They can't fully grasp what we're doing, yet they recognize it." Chen shook his head in awe. "So the galaxy mocked us, and now the Draconians are learning from humans." "Yes," Lena said, "and that's the first real step toward understanding. The Armada is not a weapon here, it's a puzzle, and we are solving it." While humans worked, alien civilizations watched. A few brave representatives approached Earth under the guise of curiosity. "Your planet, it is unusual," said an alien envoy from the star system Trelak. Its voice, translated through a universal communicator, was formal but nervous. "Your species, it is unpredictable. The Armada, it is trapped. You orchestrated this." Lena shook her head. "We didn't orchestrate it. The planet itself created the conditions. We simply understood them." The envoy's sensors flickered. "This defies all known logic. You are remarkable." For the first time, humans were recognized not as weak or primitive, but as a species capable of complex reasoning, teamwork, and ingenuity. Back in orbit, Lena analyzed the Armada's energy signals. Every pulse, every movement, every loop revealed something new. Humans were learning their weaknesses, their rigidity, their logic. And slowly, ever so slowly, the Armada began to trust the humans. Not entirely, not immediately, but enough to respond to patterns, to follow subtle instructions, and to allow the first experiments in communication. It was clear. The Armada had never faced a species like humans. They were logical, intelligent, and adaptable, but also impossible to predict. And the more the Draconians tried to adapt, the more they realized that humans were not like any other species they had conquered before. The galaxy had mocked, the Draconians had underestimated, and humanity had quietly become the center of attention. One evening, Lena stared at the holographic display of the trapped armada, faint outlines glowing against the blackness of space. "They're scared," she said softly to Chen. "Not of us, of what they don't understand, and that fear is respect in its own way." Chen nodded. "So what do we do next?" Lena smiled faintly. "We teach them, slowly, carefully, without threats, without violence. We show them what humans can do, and the galaxy will have no choice but to notice." Above, the stars twinkled. Invisible ships hovered in orbit, and below, Earth spun quietly, preparing for the day when the galaxy would finally take humanity seriously. For the first time, humans were not only survivors, they were teachers, problem solvers, and unexpected masters of a puzzle no one else could solve. And the story of the Draconian Armada was only beginning. The Armada had been trapped for months, not destroyed, not captured, but held in place by something no one in the galaxy had expected: the subtle intelligence of a planet, amplified by humans. On Earth, Dr. Lena Ortiz and her team worked tirelessly to decode the draconian signals. Each pulse, each vibration in space, was like a message written in a language humans had never encountered. But humans were relentless. They studied, experimented, and learned to speak in ways the Armada could understand. "This is it," Lena said one morning, pointing at a series of holographic patterns. "They respond when we create problems they can't predict. They adjust their formations based on what we do. And now, we can try something different. Not just confuse them, teach them." "Doctor." Chen looked skeptical. "Teach them? How do you teach a fleet of alien warships?" Lena smiled. "Not with words, not with force, with logic, with creativity, with something only humans can do." The first human-led experiment involved energy puzzles. Tiny satellites projected sequences of lights and pulses into orbit, carefully arranged to interact with Earth's magnetic field. The pulses formed patterns the Armada could attempt to replicate. Some ships tried, others failed. Some adjusted slightly, others repeated mistakes. Lena and her team observed every response, noting which ships adapted and which remained stuck in loops. Slowly, the Armada began to recognize that humans were not their enemy, but a guide. Alien civilizations watched from afar, bewildered. Scouts sent to observe humans returned confused. Reports described a strange phenomenon. The humans are teaching the Armada, and it works. No one had ever seen a species do that. No one had ever faced the Draconians and survived without a fight. And now, humans were guiding them through a puzzle they could not solve alone. In Geneva, world leaders watched satellite feeds in awe. They had prepared for war, for destruction, for evacuation. Instead, they saw a display of pure human ingenuity. The Armada was trapped, yes, but it was learning from humans. A signal from the largest Draconian ship arrived unexpectedly. The pulse pattern was clear, almost formal. It was the first direct communication Lena's team had received. They studied it carefully. "It's a question," Lena said. "They're asking us how to move without leaving the planet's influence. They're asking for help." Chen whistled softly. "So we can guide them out." "Yes," Lena said, "but on our terms. We set the conditions. We show them what humans can do." The first guided movement of the Armada was subtle. Humans adjusted the energy pulses, creating a path that the ships could follow. One by one, the Draconians began moving in unison, cautiously navigating the invisible labyrinth created by Earth. It was not fast. It was not perfect, but it was progress. "What's incredible," Lena said, "is that they trust us. They're following a species they once thought primitive, and we've done it without threatening, without firing a single shot." Chen smiled. "Humans are unpredictable even to them." Exactly. That was the point. Humanity had never relied solely on force to survive. They relied on thinking, observing, adapting, and cooperating. And now, the Armada had no choice but to learn from them. Other alien civilizations began to arrive, cautiously, drawn by reports of the trapped Armada. Many approached slowly, uncertain. "You've managed this," One envoy asked, their voice trembling with curiosity. The Draconian Armada trapped and responding to humans. Yes, Lena said calmly. We did not trap them intentionally. Earth created the conditions. We simply understood the pattern and guided them. That is the advantage humans have: creativity, observation, unpredictability. The envoy's sensors flickered. This defies every record. You are remarkable. For the first time, humans were respected, not feared, not laughed at, but acknowledged as equals in a galaxy that had underestimated them for millennia. Lena's team devised a new approach. Instead of guiding each ship individually, they created a collective puzzle. Energy pulses, satellites, and magnetic fields formed a network that resembled a game board. Think of it as chess, Lena explained to her team. Except the pieces are intelligent and the board is alive. We're teaching them to think differently, to adapt, to understand unpredictability. The Draconians attempted the puzzle. Some ships failed, spinning in confusion. Others began recognizing patterns. Slowly the fleet began moving as one, not trapped but guided. The galaxy watched in awe. Scientists, diplomats, and ordinary citizens stared at the screens in disbelief. A species considered primitive had done what no one else could. It had tamed a draconian fleet with intelligence alone. Weeks passed. The Armada became less chaotic, more organized, yet still under human guidance. The Draconians began to emit patterns of gratitude, not words, not concepts humans fully understood, but signals that clearly indicated trust and respect. Lena studied the signals carefully. They are acknowledging us, she said, not as enemies, not as threats, but as equals. And maybe as something more. Chen raised an eyebrow. Something more. Yes, Lena said. They are learning from us, and in a strange way, we are teaching them what it means to respect intelligence that is unpredictable, that is uniquely human. The first alien ambassador to arrive on Earth cautiously approached Lena. Your species remarkable. The Draconians trapped and now they cooperate with you. Without a single shot fired, Lena nodded. Yes, we guided them, we observed, we taught, and we learned from them too. The galaxy underestimates humans, and that is their mistake. The Draconian admiral, visible for the first time via holographic projection, was not angry, not confused. It was wary, it was cautious, but it also carried a trace of admiration. You humans, the admiral transmitted, are unlike anything we anticipated. You do not fight as others fight, you do not flee. You think, you adapt, you survive, you teach. We respect this. The words, though translated into human language, could not capture the enormity of the moment. Humanity had not only survived a fleet that could have destroyed them, they had earned respect through intelligence, creativity, and patience. Earth celebrated quietly, but the real triumph was subtle. It was not weapons, not warships, not destruction. It was the recognition that human ingenuity and cooperation could achieve what brute force could not. Children in schools were taught about the Armada. Scientists wrote papers that would eventually be shared with the galaxy. And every human knew the truth. They had shown the universe that humanity was unpredictable, clever, and worthy of respect. Above, the Armada began leaving orbit, carefully, guided by the human-designed patterns. Ships moved in perfect synchrony, avoiding harm to Earth and its satellites. The fleet that had once terrorized civilizations now departed, with newfound respect for humans. The galaxy, once mocking, now whispered. Other species approached Earth with caution, curiosity, and admiration. Diplomats from distant star systems asked to learn from humans, to observe their methods, and to understand how a planet could train a fleet without firing a single shot. Lena watched the final pulse from the last Draconian ship vanish into the blackness of space. A quiet satisfaction filled her. Humanity had faced the impossible, solved it, and emerged stronger, wiser, and respected. Chen smiled beside her. Do you think they'll come back? Lena shook her head. Maybe, but that doesn't matter. We've shown them and the galaxy that humans are not to be underestimated. That is the victory. That is the lesson. As the stars twinkled over Earth, Lena looked down at the planet she loved. Oceans sparkled, cities glowed, forests stretched across continents. The Armada had come and gone, but humanity had proven something far greater. Intelligence could overcome fear. Creativity could overcome rigidity. Cooperation could overcome isolation. And humans could face the impossible and turn it into triumph. The galaxy had mocked humanity. It had expected weakness, failure, and submission. It had been wrong. Humanity had won, not with weapons, not with fleets, but with ingenuity, patience, and the power of thought. And somewhere in the stars, beyond the Armada, other species began to whisper, quietly but urgently, "Do not underestimate Earth. Do not underestimate humans." For the first time in history, humans were not only part of the galaxy. They were a force the galaxy had to reckon with, respected not for strength, but for brilliance. And that brilliance was only beginning.